and that are included in the definitions under the Coast Guard rules. First off, a vessel is anything that's on the water used for transportation. A powerboat, a rowboat, canoes, seaplanes, and sailboats. And yes, even seaplanes are part of the rules of the road, because a portion of their landing and taking off, they're actually a vessel on the water. Maybe airboats, hovercraft, and even submarines. Did we say anything we used on transportation on the water? We're going to first here define what a powerboat is. It's one that is propelled by some form of machinery, be it an outboard motor, an inboard, big or small, working or pleasure. If it's moved by a prop in the water, then it's considered to be a power-driven vessel. Next, we take a look at a sailing vessel. It's defined as a sailing vessel when it's strictly under sails only. If a sailboat puts its engine on and is engaged, the transmission is engaged, then he falls under the power-driven vessel definition. Engaged in fishing. This one is always a little bit confusing. We're going to define it here this morning. Under the rules, engaged in fishing is a vessel that has multiple lines or nets, or trawls, or other fishing gear and apparatus which does, to an extent, restrict its maneuverability. These are generally the commercial boats, shrimp boats, loggers, crab boats, trawlers. In Biloxi we had a lot of shrimp boats. So they were engaged in fishing. And this is, by the definition of the rule, while their nets are out or their lines are out when they're actually engaged in fishing. If they are strictly motoring from the dock out to the fishing field, then they're nothing but a motorboat. They have to actually be engaged in that fishing. Well, how about the six-pack guys, you and your buddy that goes out fishing, and you are trolling with your lines? This does not give you the designation as an engaged in fishing vessel, because it does not restrict your maneuverability like it would a commercial boat. So the recreational boaters with their lines trolling is the key word here. They do not get the designation as a fishing vessel. Again, seaplanes are part of it, and generally they have to keep clear of all the waters and other vessels that are on the water. When they land, they have more visibility of where vessels are at, so they can land safely away from everyone. Not under command. This may be a new term for many of you. It's a nuke vessel. It has designation by some unusual or exceptional circumstance which keeps this boat from keeping out of the way of other vessels. An example of this would be it lost its steering. Obviously it can't keep out of the way. Or it may have lost its engine. So either case, lost engine, lost steering, it gets the designation of a nuke vessel not under command. Next we have the definition of a ram vessel, a restricted inability to maneuver. The key word here, a ram vessel, is based on the nature of its work. These are working type vessels, such as a vessel laying cable, one servicing aids to navigation. The Coast Guard is responsible for that. A dredge, mine clearing, sweeping vessel, or a vessel transferring people or cargo tied together. These are all considered to be restricted inability to maneuver. They're anchored, they're tied down, or they can't just quit what they're doing, so they get the designation of a ram vessel. A tugboat pushing barges is not given the designation as a ram vessel except when there's a special circumstance, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But typically the tugboat and towboat, or a tug pushing tows, is not given the designation as a ram vessel. Underway. The way it's defined in the book is your knotted anchor, you're not moored, or you're not aground, so you're underway. You're throwing off your lines at the dock, you're getting ready to leave, so you're underway. Then making way is defined as moving through the water with some form of propulsion. Your motor is on, your sails are up, so you're moving. You're making a wake, or you're making a wave behind you. And then there may be a circumstance where you're not moving, you're underway but not moving. It's called drifting, so you're not making way. The sailboat, the wind has died, so you're sitting there, you don't have an engine, you can't maneuver. You can't keep out of the way of other aircraft. Or if you're a powerboat, your engine's turned off, then obviously you cannot make way. So you could be underway making way, or underway not making way. Insight is when you can see the other vessel, observe it with your eyes. And restricted visibility is due to any of these conditions: fog, falling snow, rain, sandstorms. Any of these would be considered restricted visibility. Here may be a new one for many of us. It's constrained by draft, a CBD vessel. That's a very large vessel. It has to be a power-driven vessel to get that designation, and it's also an international rule only. There are no constrained by draft vessels under the inland rules. Next, we're going to take a look at subpart 1.